The forelimb. In this section, we look at the mammalian forelimb. Now, both the forelimb and the hind limb in mammals are designed on the pentadactyl limb plan. That is the pentadactyl limb plan. In this plan, the limb ends in 5 digits. So whether it is the forelimb or the hind limb, the plan is the same in that at the proximal end there is one bone. In the limb, that is the forelimb, the bone is the humerus and it is found in the upper arm. In the hind limb, it is the femur, found in the thigh region or the upper leg region. Then next to the humerus and femur, there are 2 bones. In the forelimb, these are represented by the radius and the ulna, and they occupy the forearm region. In the hind limb, the 2 bones are the tibia and the fibula that occupy the lower leg region or the shin or shank part of the leg. Then after them is a group of irregularly shaped bones. In the forelimb, they're known as carpals and they're found in the wrist region, while in the hind limb, they're known as tarsals and they're found in the ankle. They make up the ankle. Then the number of small bones that are joined end to end. In the upper part, they make up the palm, and the bones are known as the metacarpals. And in the hind limb, they make up the metatarsals that is found in the foot region. Then at the distal end, we have the bones that make up the phalanges, which we call fingers in the forelimb, and we call them toes in the hind limb. So whether it is the forelimb or the hind limb, the plan is the same. That is the pentadactyl plan, in which the limb ends in 5 digits. These 5 digits may be fingers, like in the forelimb, or toes in the hind limb. Now we can now turn to the forelimb. The bones that make up the forelimbs are the humerus, radius and ulna, carpals, metacarpals, and the phalanges. We look at each of these bones in turn, starting with the humerus. The humerus is the upper or most proximal bone. So we look at the human, these 2 here represent the human humerus, and then for comparison look at the goat's humerus. The humerus consists of a long shaft, this is the shaft, with 2 distinct ends. Proximal end, that is the proximal end, and the distal end. The 2 ends are very distinct. Now let us look at the distinctive features at the proximal end. The first one is the presence of a smooth rounded projection known as the head. The head articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula to form ball and socket joint. The second feature at the proximal end are 2 roughened projections known as tuberosities. There is a greater tuberosity and the lesser tuberosity. So this is a greater, that's the lesser. You can look at them from this angle here. The greater tuberosity, the lesser tuberosity, they are most distinct in the goat's humerus. You have the greater tuberosity and the lesser tuberosity. Then in between the 2 tuberosities, there is a bicipital groove. you can see, this is a bicipital groove between the two tuberosities. It is through this groove that the tendons of biceps muscles pass as they attach to the coracoid process of the pectoral girdle. Then another feature at the proximal end is the deltoid ridge. This one is more conspicuous in the god's humerus, but even in the human, this is the deltoid ridge, and it provides surface for attachment of the triceps muscles. So these are the distinctive features that describe the proximal end of the humerus. Now at the distal end, these are the distinctive features. One, there are condyles. These are curved structures. The condyles, that is the condyles, you can see the condyles there. This is a condyle, and they are also prominent in the god, the condyles. Then besides the condyles, you have epicondyles. The one to the outside is known as the lateral epicondyle, and the one to the inside is the medial epicondyle. So likewise in the goat, you can see this is the lateral epicondyle. The medial one is not clear from this angle. Then a second feature, distinctive feature at the distal end is the groove, a depression known as the trochlea. So this is the trochlea. This one here is the trochlea. The trochlea. The goat, this region is the trochlea. The trochlea is the depression for articulating with the sigmoid notch of the ulna, forming a hinge joint. Then other features that are present at the distal end, depending on the angle, are: one, you have the olecranon fossa. The olecranon fossa, very distinct in the god's humerus. This is a depression that is located directly below the head for accommodating the ulna when the arm is straightened. Then there is the radial fossa that is located below the greater tuberosity. Okay. The radial fossa accommodates the radius when the arm is bent. Okay. The olecranon fossa accommodates the ulna, especially the olecranon process of the ulna, when the arm is straightened, while the radial fossa accommodates the proximal end of the radial bone, that is of the radius bone, when the arm is bent. So this is the humerus bone. You can see these two represent the human humerus from different angles, and this represents the god's humerus from another angle. They have common features because they are found in the same region, and they play basically the same role in the skeleton of the two animals. Then the second set of bones that make up the forelimbs are the radius and the ulna. First, you look at the human radius and the ulna. So these are the bones of the forearm. The ulna is the longer of the two, and the ulna has the following distinctive features at the proximal end. So this is the proximal end, while this is the distal. One, there is a notch, a sigmoid notch, also known as the semilunar notch. This notch articulates with the distal end of the humerus to form a hinge joint at the elbow. Remember, the humerus has the trochlea, so the trochlea fits here to form a hinge joint at the elbow. Then another important feature at the distal end is the olecranon process. This is the olecranon process. This process offers two functions. One, it provides a large surface area for muscles attachment, and two, it prevents overstretching of the forearm at the joint. It is this olecranon process that fits into the olecranon fossa of the humerus when the arm is stretched. The radius does not have such distinctive features. At the proximal end, it has a smooth articular facet that articulates with part of the distal end of the humerus when the arm is stretched or bent. Now, at the distal end, the ulna and the radius articulate with the carpals with which they form the wrist joint. And at the sides, there are processes known as the styloid processes that help to keep the carpals in position. So you have these processes, the styloid, both on the ulna and the radius, that help to keep the carpals in position. Now, for comparison, you can also look at the goat's radius and ulna. See, in goats and also rabbits, the ulna and the radius are firmly bound. In fact, they are fused. While in humans, they are not. Muscles are able to rotate the radius about the ulna so that the palm of the hand can be turned downwards or upwards, contributing to human manipulative skills. See, the reason why these two are not firmly bound is to enable the sliding of radius over ulna, to enable the turning of the hand downward or upward or sideways, so that we can manipulate things easily, like turning a key or a doorknob. That involves the sliding of radius over ulna. So the two bones are separate. But in the goats, the two bones are firmly bound, because remember, the goat walks on four legs, so even the forelimbs support the body. So firmness is important, and that's why the two are bound. But otherwise, at the proximal end, they have similar features. There is the prominent olecranon process, the sigmoid notch that accommodates the distal end of the humerus, and then the smooth articular facets. Then at the distal end, there's a styloid process on both the ulna and also the radius. Then thirdly, we look at the bones of the hand. The bones of the hand. These are the carpal bones, the metacarpals, and the phalanges. There are three phalanges in each of the digits. There's the proximal, medial, and the distal phalange in each of the fingers. The thumb, 1, 2, 3, the index, the middle, the ring finger, and the small finger all have three phalanges. The carpals are usually 7, and the upper 2 or 3 articulate with the radius and the ulna. The other 5 articulate with the 5 metacarpals that make up the palm of the hand. The first phalange in each digit articulates with the metacarpal bones. So, carpals articulate with both the radius and the ulna, and also the metacarpals forming the wrist joint, while the metacarpals articulate with the first phalange to enable the grasping or the folding of the fingers. So these phalanges do slide against each other to enable the crooking or the folding of the fingers. The carpals do slide over each other to enable the turning of the hand at the wrist region.